your mission is to help men of God and porn. So you're very clear on what you believe in, who you are, and who you're trying to help. But you said only 7% of churches have a sexual addiction program or course to be involved in. I've heard multiple statistics, and I just want to kind of spout them off here. I'm not sure which one is actually correct, but I've heard and read that if you were able to remove both the men and women that attend church on a regular basis, so we're talking men and women who are attending church regularly, maybe not weekly, but twice a month at a minimum, if you're able to remove them from the viewership of porn, you would cut the industry in half. I saw a statistic yesterday that over 70% of men actively involved in the church watch porn on a regular basis. So why do you think that there's such an epidemic inside of the church currently, and what do we need to do to stop it?
Great question. You look at those stats and you think, there's something wrong here. Part of it is pastors, because a lot of pastors have a lifestyle that's a recipe for relapse, and a lot of them are struggling with pornography too. So from a leadership standpoint, even if you don't struggle with porn, but you suspect, it's possible that certain members of your staff struggle with porn, and you hear about a ministry or you think about starting something, that's already hard enough because people are overworked and overcommitted and burnt out. Mm-hmm. But then you add to that the possibility that we might need to have some really hard conversations with our staff members. We might need, who knows what kind of scandal is going to come out. You hear about the pastors falling from their positions, and you don't want to introduce that into your church. I mean, there's a lot of resistance in church leadership because people are afraid to lose their jobs, or they're afraid to have a big mess on their hands when somebody else has to lose their jobs. So it's hard to get groups started. And another reason why is because even though so many of us are struggling, toxic shame results in silence.
Yeah.
Especially for the ladies.
Yeah.
The ladies feel like they're the only ones.
I want to share a story around that. So we attend a very contemporary, modern mega church here in Tampa, 6 locations. They're kind of new age in terms of, we do series, and just a few months back, there was a series that they titled Desire, and talked about, teachings of the Bible, but premarital sex was week 1. Week 2 was, the LGBTQ community. I hope I got that right.
Yeah.
And how to have these conversations. We knew going into the 3rd week, they didn't tell us what it was going to be, but I had this inclination that it was going to be around the topic of porn. And we had some really close friends that attend with us on a weekly basis. Danny Vega, who is real big, kind of figure in the keto community. Well, they're closely tied to this organization called Fight the New Drug. I don't know if you're familiar with.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, so they've sent us a handful of free shirts. One of them being the Porn Kills Love shirt. So Danny, who's like just jacked beyond belief. I mean, he's been labeled the most jacked guy in keto. So he shows up in this shirt on that Sunday. Porn Kills Love, bright red, tight sleeves, muscles popping. I mean, but we knew based upon the looks that he was getting, because it was one of those things like it raised awareness for a lot of guys because it was these kind of odd, strange looks. Like what, like how dare you kind of wear that here? Like almost like, and that tells me like, dude, we need to be wearing those shirts every single week because there's some underlying shame going on. So yeah, I think
and you hit the nail on the head. It's shame. It's shame both from people attending church and shame if you're in leadership and struggling.
Yeah. So it starts at the top. So it's something that we need to continue to address. Like, I mean, once your guys have gone through, their recovery and they're free, like, do you encourage them to reach out to their leadership to ask for these type of things?
I have a guy right now who is a pastor, and he is starting a ministry at his church. And here's how they're framing it. He's looking for guys to help him start a ministry. Rather than, if you are struggling with unwanted sexual behavior, come sign up with me. If you want to help me lead this new ministry for those other guys who are struggling, come talk to me. And inevitably, the people who respond are also struggling.
Yeah.
And that's the way that Pure Desire has done it at certain times too. Nick Stumbo talks about this in his book, Setting Us Free, that if you want to motivate people in a church context, invite them to be heroes. Invite them to be the leaders rather than the ones who have the problem.
Yeah, it's almost an invitation to become that ally or become that guide for somebody else. Like, maybe you're a few steps further by just acknowledging what's going on. So you are further enough ahead to reach out to that guy that's not even accepting it as of yet. Love the connection there. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really a challenge in our church environments, and that's one reason why I'm choosing to try to reach people through social media, because in some ways, I don't think the church is ready for kind of addressing it at the scale of the problem.